All right, let's get right to it. In this explainer, we are building the absolute foundational knowledge you need to operate safely inside the oil and gas industry, which is, without a doubt, one of the most powerful and complex sectors on the entire planet. So, here's your mission, plain and simple, to get a crystal clear operational understanding of the oil and gas industry. We're digging into a sector that's not only incredibly powerful, but also filled with serious hazards. For anyone in the safety world, mastering this is just non-negotiable. And who is this for? Well, if you're a safety professional, an engineer, a construction worker, or a first responder, you're in the right place. And if you're studying for your OSHA or NEBOSH exams, listen up. Because understanding the DNA of this industry is fundamental to your job, your safety, and your success. Okay, here's our mission plan. We're going to start with a solid definition, then we'll break down its core structure. We'll walk through each part of the value chain, understand how all the high-risk stuff is managed, and finally, we'll tie it all back to your career. Let's get into it.
First up, the industry defined. So, what are we really talking about when we say oil and gas?
At its core, the oil and gas industry is this massive, global system that does everything from exploring for hydrocarbons deep in the earth to extracting them, refining them, and finally selling the finished products. It's a giant interconnected machine. To put it really simply, this industry gives us the fuel for our cars, our planes, and our factories. From the electricity in our homes to the products we use every day, you've got to understand, the oil and gas industry powers modern civilization. Now, if you truly want to get a handle on how this whole thing works, you have to understand its structure. And really, it all comes down to a three-part value chain. This three-part structure is the absolute key to understanding everything. You've got upstream, which is all about finding it and getting it out of the ground. Then there's midstream, which moves it and stores it. And finally, downstream is where it's turned into products we can actually use. Getting this flow is fundamental to managing risk. So let's dive into that first part, upstream. Think of this as the high-stakes, high-adventure part of the story. This is the exploration and production phase, often just called E&P, where the search for oil and gas begins. You know, upstream work is this wild mix of high-tech science and heavy-duty industrial grit. It kicks off with geologists using seismic surveys to hunt for potential reservoirs. Then comes the drilling, and we're talking about some of the toughest environments imaginable, like on massive deep-water platforms miles out at sea. After that, they operate the wells to bring the raw stuff to the surface, doing the first bit of processing right there at the source. What's so interesting is how the main risks shift as you move through each phase. In exploration, the biggest gamble is geological. You could spend millions of dollars drilling a dry hole and come up with nothing. Then, when you get to drilling, the risk is all about the huge cost and the potential for a catastrophic equipment failure. And for offshore, man, you're battling everything. Hurricanes, constant saltwater corrosion, and you have to manage strict people on board or POB limits. It's intense. Okay, so upstream has done its job. The raw materials are out of the ground. Now let's follow that product as it makes its journey through the midstream and downstream sectors, all the way to us. Think of the midstream sector as the industry's massive logistics network. It's the critical link. It moves crude oil and natural gas from these remote production sites to the refineries, and it does it using millions of miles of pipelines, giant tanker ships, and huge storage terminals. The number one hazard here? It's all about pipeline integrity, preventing corrosion, leaks, and explosions. And the final stop on this journey is downstream. This is where the transformation happens. In refineries, crude oil becomes the stuff we recognize, like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. Petrochemical plants also create the building blocks for just about everything, from plastics to fertilizers. The environment here is a complex dance of high temperatures, insane pressures, and flammable chemicals, which makes preventing fires and explosions the absolute number one priority. So we have this powerful three-part system, and we've seen there's serious risk at every single stage. This brings us to the most important question for any safety professional out there. How in the world is this high-risk system managed? Look, across all three sectors, you are constantly dealing with major hazards. We're talking flammable materials, high-pressure systems, and toxic gases like hydrogen sulfide, H2S. That's a nasty one. A colorless gas that can kill you even at low concentrations. This combination makes the oil and gas industry one of the most dangerous out there, and it demands incredibly strict safety procedures. So let's ask that question directly. With so many risks baked right into the process, how is it even possible to manage this industry safely? The answer is a multi-layered safety system. It's not just one thing. It all starts with regulatory bodies like OSHA and standard-setting groups like the American Petroleum Institute, or API, which lay down strict rules. That's backed up by engineered controls like gas detectors and emergency shutdown systems. And underpinning them all, rigorous safety training and the mandatory use of personal protective equipment, or PPE. Let's make this real for a second. Imagine a piece of equipment fails on an offshore rig, causing a gas leak. It's a terrifying situation. But because the gas detection systems went off, alarms glared, and everyone's emergency training kicked in, the workers evacuated safely. That right there shows you why every single layer of safety is so critical. It's also good to know who the main players are. The industry is really dominated by two types of companies. On one hand, you have national oil companies, or NOCs. They're state-owned and control something like 90% of the world's reserves. On the other side, you've got international oil companies, or IOCs. They're publicly traded, driven by shareholder value, and are often the ones pioneering tech in the riskiest new frontiers. Okay, let's bring this all home. We've defined the industry, we've broken down its structure, and we understand the risks and the safety systems in place. So, what does this all mean for you and your career? Here it is, the most crucial takeaway. The oil and gas industry is a deeply interconnected system. For any safety professional, understanding the entire structure, from upstream all the way to downstream, is the absolute foundation for being able to spot hazards and manage risk effectively. And once you have this foundational knowledge, it opens the door to so many vital career paths. Whether you want to be a safety officer on a rig, a process safety engineer designing safer refineries, or a compliance inspector, this understanding is your ticket in. Subscribe to HSE Study for more oil and gas industry safety training, OSHA safety lessons, and professional workplace safety knowledge. Your safety is your responsibility.